Your Worship, my name is Kiel, and I am here to represent the defendant, Mr. Stuart Davies, and I appear before you this afternoon in an attempt to exclude a confession that was taken from my client by the police in less than satisfactory conditions. Your Worship, I seek to challenge the confession, more particularly under certain legal grounds. 76(2)A, 76(2)B, as well as Section 78, all of the Police and Criminal Evidence Act. Your Worship, Section 76(2)A, as you would know, compels the court to exclude a confession where it has been obtained as a result of oppression, as a result of torture. Your Worship, a toothache, at its mildest, can be annoying, yet at its worst can give excruciating pain. In fact, the severity of the toothache was such that my client subsequently had to have that tooth removed the following Tuesday. Compounded upon this, and may I remind you, he was interviewed under these conditions. To compound this, he was interviewed at 2 p.m. in the morning after being awoken from sleep, as well as being questioned numerous times to what felt like him over 100 times. Your Worship, I submit, for the police to question my client in such a manner, at such a time, and with that amount of pain, amounts to nothing less than torture, and as such the confession should be excluded under oppression. Your Worships, I seek to also challenge the confession under Section 76(2)B. This compels the court to exclude a confession where it has been obtained by things said or done which may render that confession unreliable. Your Worship, my client, a 20-year-old grad student working on his degree, was at that time and acting upon his mind a project which bears some significance to his life. It would determine the degree status that he would attain, perhaps even leading to a better job. Your Worship, under the false, perhaps, impression that if he were to give a confession, this would somehow lead to his release, for him to be able to complete this assignment. Your Worship, this is a misguided view. However, he was not properly guided because he was denied access to a solicitor at the time. Could you imagine, Your Worship, that a detainee at this day and age having to ask the police of whether or not he has a right to a solicitor? It's laughable, Your Worship. At the time he was incarcerated and brought to the police station, he met what I assume was the custody officer. Your Worship, as you would know, the custody officer is there to protect the right of the client. Your Worship, I submit to you that the custody officer failed in this regard. My client was not medically assessed. Earlier that evening, he had taken 2 painkillers, and whether smartly or not, he had mixed that with red wine. Not illegal, perhaps unwise. And he complained of being what he describes to be as groggy. Your Worship, this state of mind should have been assessed by the custody officer. And as such, the custody officer, who is there to protect his rights, may I remind you again, should not have allowed him to be interviewed without properly being assessed. This is an unacceptable state of affairs, Your Worship. I mentioned earlier regarding his right to solicitor. Your Worship, this is an integral human right. Every EU citizen, as you would know under Article 6, is enshrined with the right to a fair trial, and as such, access to a solicitor is integral to that fair right. The fact that he was denied this right, he was not informed of this right, or he was misinformed about this right, means that he has not enjoyed due process, he has not enjoyed the right to that fair trial, Your Worship. And as such, I seek that even on this ground alone, Section 78 would inform the court that the court has the court must exclude a confession, would exclude prosecution evidence, where it would have an adverse effect on the fairness of the trial. To include such a confession, taken without a solicitor, it is my submission that it would have an adverse effect on a trial. This is my submission this afternoon, Your Worship, unless I can assist the court further.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.